Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, it's a distinct pleasure and a genuine honor to host another guest in our FPC podcast, the project, the Visegrad Group in Georgia initiative, which is supported by the Embassy of the Republic of Poland to Tbilisi. Our first guest was the Ambassador of Poland, Mr. Mashkevich. Then we had an honor to host the Ambassador of Hungary to Georgia, Her Excellency Victoria Horvat, and the last speaker of our project was the ambassador of the Republic of the Czech Republic, Mr. Petr Mikiska. Today I have an honor to welcome the ambassador of Slovakia to Georgia, Mr. Pavel Vizdal. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us and for your participation.
Thank you very much for invitation.
I'd like to address to you, Your Excellency, the question that is a standard question. This question is, why V4 matters for Slovakia?
It's not a very easy question, but I will try. I think that Visegrad cooperation is an example of the principle of unity and diversity, which is especially important today when our common values face major challenges that could affect the image of our continent in the upcoming decades. V4 is an important tool for pragmatic regional cooperation and an important guarantee of good neighborly relations and regional stability as well. At the same time, I have to say that V4 is not a dogma for us. V4 is not a homogeneous bloc, and regional solidarity is not something automatically binding. Along with many common interests and positions, and they are actually prevailing, there are areas where our interests differ, and we feel free to act independently and look for other partners in promoting our interests. At the first sight, it may seem that the Visegrad cooperation is no longer relevant within the European Union. This is because all cardinal economic and security and political advantages of being integrated in international structures that the Visegrad countries enjoy nowadays derive from the membership in the EU and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, of course. But personally, I think that this is not the full picture. On the contrary, I am confident that cooperation is still relevant and beneficial for Slovakia. Geographically, Slovakia lies in the center of the Visegrad Group, except for a short border with Austria and Ukraine as a non-member EU member state. It is surrounded by Visegrad countries. This also means that our connection to other EU macro regions, Germany, for example, Northern Europe, Southeast and Southern Europe, is predominantly moderated by one of the Visegrad countries. Historically, Slovakia has a long common political, social and cultural history with two of its neighbors, Hungary and the Czech Republic. Politically speaking, Slovak attitudes to the Visegrad members were and still are influenced by its peculiar path to EU membership. Slovakia was a latecomer in the accession process. At the end of the 90s, it was not clear whether it would be included in the planned, let's say, first wave of EU enlargement in 2004. Slovakia signed the association agreement already in 1993, shortly after gaining its independence. But authoritarian tendencies of the second and especially third Mečiar government after if I'm not mistaken, after 1994, had strained relations with the EU. Slovakia was invited to accession negotiations only at the Helsinki summit in 1999, 2 years later than 7 other post-communist countries. And during those years, comparisons with other Visegrad countries and their relative advances in the EU and NATO accession processes helped to augment anti-Mečiar opposition in Slovakia. These difficult years have influenced the public perception of the EU membership, as well as the role of cooperation with neighboring countries. And after that growing Western criticism of the increasingly autocratic Mečiar government and shrinking EU membership prospects led Mečiar to flirt with, let's say, alternative foreign policy. Regardless of whether this was ever a real alternative, the risk of being marginalized in the EU integration process help unite and strengthen anti-Mečiar opposition in Slovakia. It was also one of the chief united factors of the first government of Mikuláš Dzurinda, who replaced Mečiar in 1998. And that time, Visegrad cooperation was perceived as something that could help Slovakia to catch up with the integration train. Slovakia is the smallest Visegrad country. The V4 provides us with an opportunity to pursue our national interest at the regional as well as the EU level. Therefore, the V4 is the first choice for Slovakia when it comes to the discussion of regional issues or EU policies. Slovakia strongly emphasized the point that the V4 is based on the principle of solidarity and equality, a principle demonstrated in the 4 countries, for example, equal contribution to the budget of the International Visegrad Fund. Recently, the V4 has had an increasingly important economic significance for Slovakia. The V4 countries are the most important trade partner for us, even bigger than Germany, the most important individual one. But I have to also say that our membership in the Eurozone naturally pushes Slovakia to look for other partners, since the Czech Republic, Hungary, and Poland are not, let's say, in at the moment. On the other hand, Slovakia recognizes the importance of the single EU market. I would like to mention that Slovakia also pays significant attention to the development of cooperation with non-V4 countries within the framework of the V4 Plus. In general, cooperation with third non-V4 countries and groupings may be regarded as another important pillar of the V4. Cooperation with the framework of the V4 Plus formula already includes a long list of countries, both European and non-European. In a number of cases, the cooperation has become systematic and continuous. For example, V4 Plus Eastern Partnership, V4 Plus Western Balkans, ministerial summits, and V4 Plus Japan, just to mention a few. Neighborhood and enlargement policy represents an area in which the V4 claims to create added value for the EU. The Visegrad Group has been supporting the enlargement policy intensively, especially as regards the Western Balkans. The V4 countries have also become advocates of the Eastern Partnership countries. For Slovakia, it's very important also a sectoral cooperation. V4 cooperation has also gained a significant sectoral dimension. Certain progress has been achieved in the fields of energy, infrastructure, and security defense, though in all these areas there is still a long way to go to achieve tangible results. Another important field of cooperation is the EU neighborhood policy, with its specific focus on the eastern neighbors and enlargement policy, as I said before. For us, V4 is important because it represents 65 million people and is much stronger than any individual country alone. Even if there are many areas where our countries do not agree, when we agree, then our voice must be listened to. The civic dimension of cooperation, especially in the fields of research, innovation, education, culture, is also important for us, and it's supported through the programs of the International Visegrad Fund. This dimension, as I said, is very important for us.
Well, thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your answer. Yes, the 30 years of the existence of the Visegrad Group shows how efficient and effective these regional alliances, Euro-Atlantic integration, International Visegrad Fund, number of regional infrastructure projects. Also, it is very important the aspect of support to the aspiring countries that want to become new members, and the huge support to Eastern Partnership and Western Balkan countries. But still, European Union and of course V4 has several challenges. I would like to combine two questions that I was going to address to you, Your Excellency. Could you tell me what are the main challenges of the V4, and generally what is the role of V4 in coping with such kind of challenges?
Yeah. It is important to stress that the V4 was not created as an alternative to the European integration. On the contrary, its main purpose was to facilitate and speed up our integration to the European Union. Today, EU is our vital space, and V4 conceived as a pro-European grouping since our creation. It's not only to look after its interests, but also to contribute in constructive ways to solving the challenges and issues the EU is facing, and to preserve and strengthen European unity. We have similar position and interest in many areas, from the internal market, economic and social policy, to, for example, security policy. However, there are also some areas where position of Visegrad countries diverge. But I would like to add that cooperation on concrete policies and similar positions on specific questions do not necessarily imply convergence on other issues. This is my little bit diplomatic answer. To sum up, under current conditions, the Slovak positions to Visegrad is subordinated to our interest in the EU. I think that Visegrad Group can play a constructive role in the European integration. The Union might benefit from Central European sensitivity concerning the Eastern security issues, Ukraine, Belarus, reinforcing security of 3 Baltic member states, for example. I would like to say that given our common cultural and historical backgrounds, we naturally became very close partner within the EU. From my point of view, most probably the Visegrad will never become a unified structure because V4 is only a pragmatic instrument. The V4 group has no institutionalized structure. However, the group sets its priorities for every half a year or every year under a rotating presidency. The priorities are mostly linked with the priorities of the European Union, and the V4 tries to find a common ground on issues that are actually discussed by the whole European bloc. Particularly, the V4 advocates strong cohesion and agriculture policy, or EU's enlargement policy. The V4 has been loudly promoting accession of Western Balkans countries and strengthening the EU's ties with Eastern Partnership countries, Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan. It is among our top priorities nowadays. Therefore, the V4 welcomes that, for example, that the current European Commissioner for the enlargement is Hungarian and European Commissioner for Agriculture is Polish. But surprisingly, the V4 has a different position when it comes, for example, to European Recovery Fund, proposed by the European Commission in May 2020, this year, after the COVID crisis. The European Commission proposed that allocation of the recovery funds will be partially based on a level of unemployment in past years. The Czech Republic is a country with the lowest unemployment. Therefore, they strongly criticize proposed allocation. Hungary was also very critical towards the plan. On the other hand, Slovakia and Poland were quite optimistic regarding the European Recovery Fund and raised only, let's say, mild objections. Before the pandemic, the V4 was in the core of the so-called Friends of Cohesion, a group of net beneficiaries from the European budget, and they jointly advocated an idea of strong cohesion policy with rich budget. With the pandemic and recovery plan, everything has changed, and individual V4 states express diverse ideas of the recovery. These differences show that the V4 cooperation has its limits. The V4 countries should definitely focus on finding alliances and partners in various agendas, not only among the group, but also within the whole European bloc. It's also worth to mention that we want to continue to build a positive perception of the V4 brand, and we will look for constructive solutions and pragmatic cooperation in areas where we have common interests and positions. It is mainly a matter of coordinating positions on selected European issues, such as I said, cohesion policy, common agriculture policy, or enlargement policy, as well as security or defense. As membership in the V4 is not exclusive for each V4 country, there is a viable scenario of cooperation with partners in the V4 and parallel operation in other regional initiatives. We are determined to also work on further development, for example, of the Slavko or Austerlitz format, Slavko format, that is gaining a new momentum. There is no antagonism amongst our regional engagement. We consider them complementary, not contradictory. For example, Slavko format, Czechia, Austria, and Slovakia, about to sign the Memorandum of Understanding regarding historically the first development project of the Slavko format in Georgia, which aims to support local communities through development of tourism, agriculture, education of the region of Aragvi. My conclusion is I will use maybe three basic principles of our fifth presidency of the Visegrad Group in 2018 and 2019, that we need to promote unity wherever it is possible, offer solutions where it is beneficial, and respect differences where it is necessary. To sum up my answer, the V4's currently weak institutionalization allows its members to concentrate more on areas of joint interest while avoiding those in which they cannot agree. The weight of the V4 will increase also after Brexit, at least mathematically. So the Visegrad Group cannot afford to be excluded from the processes of redefining of the EU.
Well, thank you so much, Your Excellency. Yes, V4 illustrates the efficiency, as we have already mentioned, especially in terms of immigration quotas, also the common approach to the budgetary issues, and there are plenty of things that can be written and indicated into the CV of V4. And yes, in this dynamic world where everything is being changed very fastly, and there are a lot of challenges, we know the current situation in Belarus. You have said a couple of words also about the current state of affairs in Ukraine. The V4 is becoming more and more important regional player within the European Union itself. And well, actually, I don't like the questions like this about the predictions about the future, but still it is very important to know your opinion, sir, as an ambassador, as a diplomat, as a person who is in the Foreign Affairs Ministry of the Slovak Republic. In your opinion, what is the future of V4? Can it be transformed? May other regional players join this initiative? What is the future of V4?
I think
questions, yes.
Yeah, I think, but of course, I am not an expert on this agenda, that the V4 is not likely to move towards stronger institutionalization. A weak institutionalization also helps the V4 to overcome potential divergences in political positions. The International Visegrad Fund will remain the most robust Visegrad institution. What may further develop are informal institutions and instruments of cooperation is presidencies, high-level working groups, advisory platforms, etc. It is very important to say that in order to remain viable, the V4 should remain open to cooperation with any country or group of countries via the V4 Plus formula. The list of interested countries is growing longer year by year. Non-V4 EU members represent the most natural allies for the V4 and partners for bigger coalitions, let's say, needed for the successful presentation of regional V4 interests at the EU level. In this regard, we organize large number of summits, meetings in the very successful V4 Plus format, where we meet with both our traditional European partners and friends. For example, Germany, V4 Plus, France, Benelux, Baltic 3, and North Baltic 8. The second circle would include countries from the nearest EU neighborhood, as well as those aspiring for EU membership. The EAP and Western Balkan countries are the natural candidates. Furthermore, the V4 countries have the potential to positively shape the EU's enlargement policy by actively supporting EU membership for Western Balkan countries. Thanks to its support of an open door policy in both the EU and NATO, the V4 countries enjoy a high level of confidence in the Western Balkans. The main task for Brussels and as well as Bratislava, Prague and Warsaw and Budapest is to convince EU member states already suffering from enlargement fatigue that such a policy pays off even after Brexit. In the Western Balkans, the V4 could promote European project and unity while guaranteeing an open door policy. Another priority for the V4 is relation with its neighbors to the east. The V4 has always been united in its opposition to Russia's annexation of Crimea, aggressions towards Ukraine, or conflict in Georgia as well. In this regard, we should continue supporting reforms and technical assistance for Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia. Under certain conditions, the V4 could also help to redefine relations between the EU and Belarus. The V4's geographic position on the eastern edge of both the EU and NATO gives its member states an important role in security and defense. As transit countries for oil and gas exports to the EU, V4 form a key part of any future energy union within the EU. The Visegrad bloc is also crucial in transport infrastructure. For instance, the proposed Via Carpathia linking the Baltic with Romania and Bulgaria will be the easternmost north-south corridor in the EU. Regarding future of V4, going back a little bit to COVID, I think that it is important to build on positive practical experience. For example, joint repatriation of our citizens due to COVID pandemics, and explore new opportunities in meaningful projects. In this regard, Slovakia supports the intention to intensify cooperation in the field of health and science, reflected in the Polish V4 presidency program. In the current situation, this is an extremely important aspect of the development of our relations. Environment, for example, is the next main topic. What may come as a surprise, taking into account that the overall perception is that the environmental policies have created a relevant point of the Visegrad cooperation. The consideration could be categorized in two groups. The first contains the questions of energy security, and the second refers more to the new models of production and, let's say, consumption. One of the main sphere where the V4 should focus its fund is a circular economy, which from my point of view could create business opportunities and subsequently help in bringing about green jobs, socio-economic, environmental development, and enhance international competitiveness. The V4 efforts would focus on exchanging information and best practices to search for new opportunities in the areas of energy efficiency and renewable energy, waste and water management. From my point of view, in the mid-term perspective, the Visegrad Group should taking position in selected, not numerous areas where consensus is attainable, and abstaining from actions where diverging views prevail. And I think that we must increase also operational capabilities and funds in the International Visegrad Fund, which has been established, as you said, 20 years ago. In Slovakia, we are proud that that we can call IVF the first international institution based in Bratislava, which has over the years become an integral part of our diplomatic and social life. Within the Visegrad Fund, I am convinced that we have to intensify special program Visegrad 4 Eastern Partnership Program, launched in 2011. Program supports European Union Eastern Partnership policy. The aim is to facilitate the unique know-how of the Visegrad countries with challenges of democratic transition and with establishing sustainable regional cooperation. Since the outset of this program, the Visegrad Fund has supported projects and academic scholarships for graduate students from EAP region in total worth exceeding 16 million euros, if I am not mistaken. The program has also received funding from external donors, namely from Canada, Switzerland, Germany, the Netherlands, South Korea. To sum up, the V4 isn't a coherent bloc. It's a coalition of countries interested in cooperating in selected areas. Diverse position of the V4 countries have not been rare in the past, even on issues of strategic interest. I am sure that we have to continue the beneficial cooperation despite these differences. It seems that the key to the effectiveness of V4 and its positive contribution to all countries is to continue maintaining the model of weak institutionalization. This means greater flexibility and the non-binding nature of the cooperation. A move towards a higher degree of institutionalization would not strengthen the V4. On the contrary, it would limit its ability to overcome periods when the position of partners on strategic issues differ. In this content, it is necessary to support well-established informal institutions in the form of regular meetings of high representatives of the Visegrad countries, but especially representatives of individual ministries, governmental and non-governmental experts or working groups. Specific importance for V4 is to continue support of the IVF. And maybe in terms of visibility, the Visegrad Group continues to be the most important regional initiative in Central Europe. The current anniversary of the 20 years of the International Visegrad Fund, and especially next year, the 30th anniversary of the Visegrad Group, make our informal group even more visible and therefore more responsible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and thank you very much for your answers. Well, as a scholar of the V4 and the V4 issues, I'm very happy that the presence of the Visegrad Group in Georgia is being grown right now, because we see more and more IVF initiatives supported. And also we see more and more students going to study to V4 countries thanks to the financial support of the International Visegrad Fund. And also on the 30th anniversary, on the occasion of 30th anniversary of the Visegrad Group in February, we're going to start the second edition of this project, and leading think tankers from 4 V4 countries and also the director of the International Visegrad Fund will be involved in this initiative and in this podcast. Well, from my side, I'd like to thank you, sir, for spending this time with us.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting conversation, and wish you all the best and have a fruitful and successful day.
And stay safe.
Stay safe.
Grigol, and do you have the contact from the to the Slovak think tanks and NGOs, or you need my help somehow?
Yeah, yes, I have direct contacts with Mr. Grigory Mesezhnikov, Alexander Kuleva, because I used to work there in Slovak Foreign Policy Association. So
really,
yes,
okay.
yes. I mean, it was my field research in the framework of my PhD research. So it is.
So perfect. Okay.
So of course, I'll keep in touch with you, sir. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. Thank you. And have a nice day and weekend. Thank you.
Oh.